And I hope everyone is revising what we have done so far, not to forget it. It's important. So, okay. So I'll start with Maureen, Kenya, then Leslie. So, Maureen, this is for you. Question 26, that should be, which AWS service should you use if you need to launch a highly scalable MySQL or LTP database? Is it Amazon Elasticcache, DynamoDB, Redshift, or Amazon Aurora? You need to launch a highly scalable MySQL or LTP database.
I don't actually know, but I think it's Amazon Aurora.
Okay. Any different view? Let me see what chat says. I see two people, one person supports D, one says A. So let's take majority. Remember, it's highly scalable MySQL or LTP. So it's D. And why is that? Because Amazon Aurora is compatible with MySQL and PostgreSQL. Elasticcache is just an in-memory caching system used in database. So this is in-memory caching system used by Amazon RDS database. Of course, DynamoDB is not SQL. Redshift is a data warehouse. An Elasticcache in-memory database that is split also into two different databases. You have what's called Memcache and you have Redis, right? So just make sure that highly scalable MySQL database, the definition of each database will help you. Okay, thanks. Next question is Okinye. Which of the following channels shares a collection of offerings to help you achieve specific business outcomes related to enterprise cloud adoption through paid engagements in several specialty practice areas? So which channel shares a collection of offerings to help you achieve specific business outcomes related to enterprise cloud adoption? And it's through paid engagement in several specialty practice areas. So AWS professional service, concierge support, enterprise support, or technical account manager.
AWS professional services.
Okay, you say A, what about the others? Any support or different view? Every other person is quiet. Okay, so let's check and see if this is correct. And it's indeed correct. So the key thing here is knowing what all these other ones are. We've always talked about technical and account manager. Remember, we're looking for a channel that shares a collections of offerings to help you achieve specific business outcomes to enterprise cloud adoption. But this is for enterprise support. You know, in technical account manager comes when you have enterprise support. AWS enterprise support is still trying to afford you support when you are using AWS. Concierge support is still comes across when you are using enterprise support and you are looking for, and that's helping you with your billing, your account, you know, because generally your account and billing account. But professional services, by definition, answers the question. It's just it shares a collection of offerings to help you achieve specific business outcome related to cloud adoption. So each offering delivers a set of activities, best practices, and documentation reflecting our experience supporting hundreds of customers in their journey to the AWS cloud. They use a unique methodology based on Amazon's internal best practice to help you complete projects faster and more reliable while accounting for evolving expectations and dynamic team structures along the way. So AWS Professional Services is uses Amazon's internal best practices. It's not available in public to help you complete your project faster. Actually, there is I remember there is a session that comes up where people who work under professional services always try to explain in that webinar what professional services is, and then and then if you want to apply, what you need to do. So I hope that helps for those who didn't know what professional services is, to think about it. So they're just like think of them as a special team that can help you get into the cloud faster. So if there is a company that don't have the necessary team, professional services can help them. But of course, it's always good that every company have internal staff that understand AWS, because AWS will not be working for you then continuously. So concierge support, as I say, is composed of AWS billing and account experts that specialize in working with enterprise accounts. They will quickly and efficiently assist you with your billing and account inquiries and work with you to implement billing and account best practices so that you can focus on running your business. Very good definition for everyone to remember in terms of what's concierge support. So I'm sharing that on chat. Okay. Technical account manager, designated technical point of contact who provides advocacy and guidance to help plan and build solutions using best practices, coordinate access to subject matter experts and product teams, and proactively keep your AWS environment operationally healthy. Yeah. Okay. I hope something there. For you. All right. The next question is for you, Leslie. What is the minimum number of availability zones that you should set up for your application load balancer in order to create a highly available architecture? So what is the minimum number of availability zones that you should set up for your application load balancer to create a highly available architecture?
I think 2.
So you're talking of D?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other view?
Yeah, I can propose 3. I think it's 3.
Okay. We're talking of a minimum. Okay, so I see support for D and 1C. Okay, so let's check and see which one is correct and why. Yeah, so it's D. Of course, you can have 3, you can have 4, but the question was the minimum you can have. You cannot have 1, for example, because we are talking of high availability. High availability always start with having at least 2, so that if one zone fails, the other one can take over. If one zone fails, the other one can take over. So it's a minimum that you can have. Yeah. So minimum is always 2. And this is an example. So you have a load balancer. Remember, a load balancer is always trying to accept requests and then distribute them. So you have a load balancer, and remember, a load balancer is a regional service. Regional means that it can talk to a different availability zones. So some regions have 3 availability zones. So it's possible that It could be distributing traffic to zone A, distributing traffic to zone B, and still distributing traffic to zone C. But the minimum is always 2. Yeah. Okay. So the next question is back to you, Maureen. A customer is planning to migrate some of their web applications that are hosted on premises to AWS. Which of the following is a benefit of using AWS over virtualized data centers? So what is the benefit? So you have someone is planning to move web applications hosted on premises. We're looking for a benefit of using AWS over virtualized data centers. So those are the key things. Lower variable cost and higher upfront cost, higher variable cost and lower upfront cost, higher variable cost and higher upfront cost, lower variable cost and lower upfront cost. What would that be?
C.
T.
Lower variable cost and lower upfront cost.
Okay, thank you. What about others? I see T. Okay, so let's try, see if that's correct. Right. That's we covered that in module 1, I'm sure. So that's what we always have. Always lower. This is when you are using a traditional data center. This is when you are using a virtualized data center. And this is when you are using AWS. You see upfront cost compared to what you have here is lower. I think that's fine. Let's move to the next question for you, Kinye. A company has web servers running on Amazon EC2 instances that access a RESTful API hosted on their on-premises data center. What kind of architecture is the company using? So the key thing is they have web servers running on EC2 instances and they access a RESTful API hosted on their on-premises data center. So the EC2 instances and API hosted on on-premises data center. What kind of architecture is that? Software as a service? Yeah, go ahead.
It's a hybrid architecture.
Okay. Any different view or support? What about the others? Okay. All right, let's check and see. So it's hybrid architecture. So when you have something in the cloud and you have something on premises, it's hybrid. Software as a service is a cloud of computing which provides you with a completed product that is running and managed by a specific service provider. For example, you are Gmail, right? You are just using it. It's just a product that is already complete. You just use it. Platform as a service, as we know, removes the need for organization to manage underlying infrastructure, that's the hardware and operating system, and allow customers to focus on deployment and management of their applications. Platform as a service allow customers to focus on the deployment and management of the applications. They don't have to bother about the hardware and operating system. What is an example of platform as a service?
Elastic Beanstalk.
Yes, correct. So that's an example of that. Serverless architecture is when EC2 instances for its web servers instead of Lambda or S3. The company is using EC2 for its web servers. Okay, yeah. Serverless architecture enables you to build and run applications and services without thinking about servers. It eliminates infrastructure management tasks such as server clustering and that. Let me just put that on chat. Those people who are making notes. All right, and then yeah, I'll just put this as well. Okay. The next question is for you, Leslie. What should you provide to your developers to allow them to access your AWS services through the AWS CLI? So what should you provide to developers so that you can allow them to access AWS services through the AWS CLI? Is it IAM username and password, access keys, SSH keys, or API keys?
I think it's access keys.
Okay, you say B. What about the others?
I support B.
Okay, there's support for that. Okay, see, Maureen is gone. All right, so let's pick that and see. Yeah, that's correct. So always remember the diagram, the different methods to access AWS. You have AWS CLI, you have AWS SDK, Software Development Kit, and you have AWS Management Console. For the Management Console, you always need the username and password. IAM username and password. For the SDK and CLI, you will always need access keys. As API keys is primarily provisioned in Amazon API Gateway and is not used for CLI. SSH keys is used to connect and control your EC2 instances by establishing an SSH connection. So if you want to know what the other keys are, SSH keys is used to control EC2 instances when you connect by SSH. And API keys just for Amazon API. Yeah. Okay, then we're coming back to you. Okay, which of the following is a key financial benefit of migrating systems hosted on your AWS on your on-premises data center to AWS? Key benefit of migrating system hosted on your on-premises data center to AWS, the key point. So opportunity to replace upfront operational expenses with low variable operational expenses. Variable capital expense with low front expense. You are replacing variable capital expense, CapEx, with low front cost. Replace variable operational expenses with low upfront capital expense, and replace upfront capital expense with low variable cost.
So the opportunity to replace upfront capital expenses with low variable cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's D here. Okay. Any thoughts?
Yeah, support G.
Okay, support D. Let's do that. Let's see then. Yeah, so that's still, these words are just being used to, I mean, I think with this practice, you can see in different ways in which this question can be asked. So that's good. I hope all of you are getting used to. Okay, then this back for you, Leslie. Which of the following options below is solely the responsibility of the customer in accordance with the AWS shared responsibility model? So this responsibility of customer, solely the responsibility of customer based on the shared responsibility model. Which one will it go to?
I think B.
Okay. B. Do you agree?
Go
King?
with A. No. Service and communication protection and zone security.
Okay. So here says A. So let's check and see, and make sure that just look at this. So you have in our so its configuration management is done by both, and the reason is the AWS will be able to configure the infrastructure, patch the host operating system, but then our customer, when it comes to configuration management, they have to configure their EC2s as well as the underlying, and then as well as patch the underlying operating system. So configuration management is done by both. Same for awareness and training. Patching host operating system is done by AWS. So it's to remember these are the key things that you need to remember. If you notice here, shared controls for patch management, configuration management, and awareness training. This is done by AWS and the customer. Customer specific options is what we have: service and communication protections or zone security, which may require a customer to route or zone data within specific security environments. Okay. So those are the things to take care of. So back to you, Kinui. A company is using Amazon S3 to store their static media contents, such as photos and videos. Which of the following should you use to provide specific users access to the bucket? So you want specific users to have access to the bucket. What will you use? Okay. Bucket policy. Let's see, have a different view or support.
I support A.
Okay. So we should remember where network access control list is used: subnet level, security group, EC2, SSH key. We just said it's used to managing access to EC2 instances when you have an SSH connection. For you, let's do, which AWS services should you use to store rapidly changing data with low read and write latencies? Select two. A service, which AWS service should you use to store rapidly changing data? So you need to store rapidly changing data with low read and write latencies. Which of these two will you use? Select two.
I'll go in for Amazon S3 and Amazon EBS.
Okay. A and C, you say?
Yeah.
So remember, you are storing rapidly changing data, low read and write latencies. Any different view?
Oh, for EBS and Amazon RDS.
Okay, A and T. Welcome, Guada. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So I'll just leave all those three answers and we'll check which one is wrong and which one is correct. Nice, we have Wada who always break. But I want you to take note of the key thing. We are storing rapidly changing data, right? And for S3, what is key about S3? What kind of data is S3 storing?
S3 is to store objects and it's for static data. Data
So,
which is still rapidly changing.
sorry, Kenya, I don't know why something is disturbing. I can hear you well, except it's me. But
So S3 is for object, it's an object storage and it's for static data.
right. Thank you. Now it's much clearer. So it's for object storage and it's static data. So rapidly changing data cannot be stored on S3, right? So you then use RDS. And if you look like Snowball is for migration service, you know, when you want to transfer data from on-premises to the cloud, you can actually put data. Snowball is like a device, right? That you can carry like think of it like a small hand. You can hold it on the hand or carry it in a box. It's like it comes as a box and you can store data in it and go and move. While upstream, on the other hand, you centrally manage your desktop applications. I always like to learn this service alongside Amazon Workspaces. Amazon Workspaces is when you are trying to look for virtualized operating for virtualized desktops, right? If you want Linux and Windows operating system. So Amazon Workspace is for that. But then upstream is for when you are managing desktop applications. Workspaces is when you are looking for desktops, virtualized desktops. So yeah, hope everyone captured that. Any question? I hope it's clear why it's not S3, it's not upstream, it's not Snowball. EBS and RDS will do that. Okay, well, the next question is for you. Which of the following is true regarding the developer support plan in AWS? Select two. Developer support plan.
Insurance is true regarding the support.
Is it limited access to the 7 core trusted advisor checks, access to full set of trusted advisor checks, full support of AWS API, recommended if you have business or mission critical workloads, or no access to AWS support API? Which of the two?
A and E. Limited access to the 7 tier trusted advisory checks and no access to AWS support.
Okay.
I support E.
All right, this is support for that. So it's back to our table. So let's check and see. So it's A and E, which is correct. So this is the developer plan. So you just need to know what are the things supported here. And we have limited access to the 7 core, so service quarter and security best checks, that's trusted advisor best practices. And then API support, this programmatic case management, there is none at all, but it starts from the business plan. So that's the reason. So it's just to master this table, as we've emphasized. And okay, good. So let's move to the next one, which is for you, Kinye. What are the things that you can implement to improve the security of your identity and access management users? Select two. Things that you can implement to improve the security of your identity and access management users.
Configure a strong password policy for users to enable multi-factor authentication.
Okay. So we're improving security of IAM users. That's a key thing. I see D and E supported. Okay. So let's check. Yeah, that's correct. We were just saying that security groups is for subnet level. Securing your subnet. It has nothing to do with IAM users. Network. Sorry, security groups is for your EC2. I hope no one did get that. Security groups is for securing your EC2 instances. It has nothing to do with IAM users. Network ACL is for securing your subnets, and it's not IAM. AWS mobile push notification is just something else, not a security service or action. So this two will go. Okay. So next question is for you, Leslie. Which service should you use if there is a need to launch a custom self-hosted database, which requires a scheduled shutdown every night to save on cost? Now you need to launch, the key thing is you need to launch a customized self-hosted database. You need to launch customized self-database, and you want to schedule shutdown every night to save on cost. What would that be? DynamoDB, Amazon EC2 instance with an EBS volume, Amazon Redshift, or Amazon EC2 with an instance store volume.
I'll go for B.
Okay. B. B. Ahead, so I see B supported. So let's check and see. Yeah, that's correct. Why will you not use D, for example? Who wants to explain?
The question says the database will require a scheduled shutdown every night to save on cost. If you shut down EC2 instance, the data on the instance store is lost.
Okay, that's correct. Instance store volume is ephemeral or temporary storage. At times you see the word ephemeral used for it, or temporary storage. So if you immediately once you, so which just means that once you have an EC2 using instance store, once you shut the EC2 instance, all the data is lost. But EBS is persistent storage. So data here, if you shut down the instance and come and put it on, you still have access to the data, just like your laptop. Your laptop uses a disk that is persistent storage. So when you shut your laptop and you come back and put on, you always have the data you stored. But if it's instant store, once you shut down, the storage goes away. So since it's self-hosted, you need to install it because you want to manage it, right? You can't use, I think something that could have been here that could have confused some people would have been Amazon RDS. You cannot use Amazon RDS because you won't have, it's not self-hosted. Amazon RDS is managed by AWS. We just use with kind of the other ones. We know this is a SQL database and this Redshift data warehouse. And DynamoDB is also non-relational, fully managed by AWS. This means you can have control. Yeah, with DynamoDB, you don't, it's not self-hosted. Okay, thanks. Next one is Ogwada. A company has a hybrid cloud architecture where a company has a hybrid cloud architecture where their on-premise data center interacts with their cloud resources in AWS. Which of the following services in AWS can you use to deploy a web application to the servers running on premises? So which service in AWS, that's the key, a service in AWS you can use to deploy a web application to servers running on premises. So which of these services also work on premises? Select two.
Employ code deploy and OpsWorks.
You say code deploy and OpsWorks. Okay. I see that's supported. So let's testing on your services again. So let's check and see, which is C and D supported. Elastic Beanstalk will deploy, is used for deploying web applications, but only in AWS. CloudFormation is when you are trying to create your infrastructure as code. So make sure that you know what this is. And Batch is, I think it's used by data scientists. It's a batch management capability that enables developers, scientists, and engineers to easily and efficiently run hundreds of thousands of batch computing jobs. So when you want to run batch computing jobs on AWS, you can use AWS Batch, not for deploying applications. All right. So I think the next question is for, I hope I've not missed up. Is it for you, Leslie? I'm trying to remember how I'm going. On the previous one was for, is it Kenya or Leslie?
Me. What's for me?
Yeah, okay, the last one was for you. Oh, the last question was for you, right?
Yes.
Okay, then the next question is for, is it Leslie or Kenya? Or I'll just pick Leslie and then we'll come back to Kenya. Then I remember this action. Okay, Leslie, this for you. How can you apply and easily manage the common access permissions to a large number of IAM users in AWS? So how can you apply and easily manage access permissions? You want to manage access permissions to a large number of IAM users in AWS. What do you do? Do you attach the exact same IAM policy to all of the IAM users? Attach the necessary policies or permissions required to a new IAM group, then afterwards add the IAM users to the IAM group. Attach the IAM policy to an IAM role, then afterwards associate the role to all of the IAM users, or apply permissions to multiple IAM users by using a cross-account role.
Going for, I'll go for C.
Okay, you say C. So you are managing common access permissions to a large number of IAM users in AWS. I see majority say B, sorry. You say C, majority say B. So the question is, what is an IAM group, right? And then the other one is, what is IAM role as well? So you want to manage access permissions to a large number of IAM users. So IAM group is a collection of IAM users, right? So you have a large number of IAM users. So it's a collection of IAM users. Groups let you specify permissions for multiple users, which can make it easier to manage the permissions for those users. So when you have a group and you put a collection of members in it, then you can specify this permission on the group itself, and then all the users will inherit it, and you don't need to to do anything. So your question was manage common access permissions to a large number of IAM users. So you attach the necessary policies or permissions required to a new IAM group. So you attach that to a new IAM group, and then if you add users to that IAM group, they'll inherit it. But attach IAM policy to an IAM rule, then afterwards associate that rule to the IAM user is incorrect, because this is not an effective way of applying the permissions to a large number of groups. Because imagine if you have 1,000 of them, then you'll be attaching it to each of it, right? You have to associate the rule to each IAM user. So which is very heavy doing it. Attach exactly the same IAM policy to all users is still the same thing. It's not correct, and a lot of administrative overhead. This doesn't apply here. Yeah, this is when you are doing delegate access to resources that are in a different AWS account. So you may be in one AWS account and there's another account. When you want to delegate access to resources, that's when the cross account rule comes to play. So it could be interesting to know what that is. Okay. So the next question then is Okinyo. Which service should you use if you need a scalable, fast, and flexible non-relational database service? So you need this. Yes, okay. I see that's supported. So you're looking for a flexible, non-relational database service. Scalable, fast, so it must be a non-relational database service. So it's A, RDS is relational, S3 is object storage, we have set it static, Redshift is data warehouse. All right. If there's a question, you can always stop me. Then this one, Guada. In AWS, Dash is one of the advantages of consolidated billing. In AWS, Dash is one of the advantages of consolidated billing.
Volume and pricing. Oh, sorry, volume pricing.
Okay. You say B. Any different view? You see that's supported. Okay, let's check and see. So it's volume pricing. So when you do consolidated billing, is a feature in AWS organization. And remember, in AWS organizations, you can either enable all features or consolidated billing. And when you do consolidated billing, you only have that advantage of consolidated billing. You will not be able to do SCPs. But if you need to have all features, then you need to put SCPs, which is security control policies. And then, and then as well, all features will also give you consolidated billing. Okay. Next question is for you, Leslie. Which among the options below is a highly scalable, highly available and scalable cloud domain name system web service in AWS? Highly available, scalable domain name system in AWS. Which one would be that?
Seriously, I don't have no idea on that.
Oh, sorry. You don't have?
I don't have an idea.
You don't have an idea, okay. Anyone? Well, that says C, can you say C? So remember, it's highly available, scalable domain name system. So let's check. Yeah, so that is what it is. And when we say highly available, what does a service like Route 53 do? What can Route 53 do? Can anyone just explain that briefly? yeah, we say that it's a DNS web service, but what does a DNS service do?
The service will help you create and manage domain names, and I don't know how to explain the other one. Like
Mhm.
converting IP addresses to readable names.
Okay, so I would say it converts, is instead the other way, it converts domain names to IP addresses, right? So it translates common domains like www.wefoundcloud.com to an IP address, because computers understand the IP addresses. Or it converts amazon.com to an IP address, so that you can always type amazon.com, but the computer will be using but an IP address to work on. So it converts common domain names to IP addresses. And then, yeah, it can, Route 53, you can also use it to create domains. So if you have a domain like Kinyo, if you want to create a domain like kinyo.com, so that it has an IP address, you can actually use Route 53. Yeah. So it gives developers business that. So by translating names like you see in this example, tutorials dojo into numeric IP addresses like that computers use to connect to each other. So they always know that it converts domain names to IP addresses, or the other good point is creating this thing. Yeah. Okay. Recognition is used in machine learning, and it's easier for you. It is a service that makes it easier for you to add powerful visual analysis to your applications. Active Directory domain name service is used in Windows. It's not a cloud, AWS, it's not Amazon cloud service. Lightsail, easy to use cloud platform that offers everything you need to build an application or website plus cost effective monthly plan. I always say that learn Lightsail alongside Elastic Beanstalk. The difference with Lightsail is that it will have templates, for example, in building websites, but Beanstalk doesn't have that. So you may have a question that is asking you a service to build applications or websites where templates are available. And if you have the options of Elastic Beanstalk and Lightsail, then you know that this will be Lightsail. All right. Okay. Let's move to the next one. Is for you, Kinyo. Which of the following IAM identities is associated with the access keys that are used in managing your cloud resources through the AWS command line interface?
IAM user.
Okay. I see that's supported. So IAM identity, which of the following IAM identities is associated with access keys? That's the key thing. So let's see. So IAM policy on the other end, the question again is IAM identity associated with access keys that are used to manage your cloud resources. IAM role, IAM group. We have reviewed what IAM group was. What is IAM role? What is an IAM role? Anyone wants to try? I know you people will know it, but it's always good learning to explain.
An IAM role is an identity with a permission policy that determines what the identity can and cannot do in AWS.
Yeah, right. It has an IAM policy. That's correct. That determines. But if you were to talk about an IAM role and an IAM user, what would be the key difference? For example.
I'm going to say
Assign
IAM.
permission.
Assign permission. You said what else were you adding, Leslie?
I'm going to say an IAM user has a permanent key, while an IAM role has a temporal key.
Right. That's the key thing as well. So IAM role has temporary credentials. You say temporary credentials. IAM user have permanent credentials through the access keys. Yeah, so that's correct. Policy is just where you, is what you use. And IAM policy is what determines the permissions, right? So it's written in JSON format. IAM group we have. So access keys, we have long-term credentials. And you normally find that in IAM user, which is what you need. But IAM role will have temporary credentials. Okay, any question there? And also IAM,
Yes, please.
yeah, go ahead.
What are the credentials for an IAM role? Are they also keys?
Yes, there are also keys. They have access keys, which is made up of access key ID and a secret secret key, but it's just that they are temporary. Yeah, it's also keys.
So why is the IAM role not the answer for this question? Because
Yes, because they were asking when you want to manage through the command line interface, what you always use is IAM user. They ask the which has permanent. You always need the permanent access keys. Yeah, because yeah. But when if you are the point where you can use an IAM role is when you want, for example, another AWS service to access another one, right? Like we have an EC2 instance and we want it to access an S3 bucket. You can then use an IAM role. So the reason why this one didn't go is because we are using CLI, which requires permanent keys. Yeah. Okay, good questions. Okay, so the next question is from Guada, right? Yeah, that was Kinyuda answered. Which among the options below can you use to launch a new Amazon RDS database cluster to your VPC? Select two. So which options below can you use to launch a new Amazon RDS database cluster to your VPC?
A and E.
Okay, you say A and E. I see that's supported. Right. So you're just launching a new Amazon RDS database cluster. So let's see. Okay, that's correct. Because either you can go through the management console and click to launch an RDS database cluster, or you can use infrastructure as code so that is created. But then we've talked about what AWS Concierge is, system manager and code pipeline. When you are using system manager, it's a unified user interface that you can view operational data from multiple AWS services and allows you to automate operational tasks. Each time I think of system manager, automating operational tasks across AWS resources come to mind. You automate, it's an interface that you can automate operational tasks. Code pipeline is when it's a fully managed continuous delivery service. Fully managed continuous delivery service that helps you automate your release pipelines for fast and reliable application and infrastructure updates. So code pipeline is a managed continuous delivery service. All right. Next question, I think, is for you, Leslie. Which of the following below are benefits of using consolidated billing in AWS? Select two. So benefit of using consolidated billing in AWS. Allows one member account to pay the charges of all the master accounts, consolidated all the bills from multiple AWS accounts for only $1 every month, share the volume, pricing, and reserve instant discounts by combining the usage across all accounts in the organization. You get one bill for multiple accounts, consolidate together the billing and payment of both AWS accounts and Amazon Internet Service accounts?
It's C and D.
We say C and D.
C and G.
Yeah, C and D. Any different view? Benefits of using consolidated billing. I don't see a different view. I don't see. Okay, so let's check and see. Yeah, so it's C and D. Benefits of using consolidated billing. Definitely, you don't have a $1. Everyone would definitely be using that, and AWS can make money. Allow one member account to pay the charges of all the master accounts. Consolidated together billing of that, which are two different things. So it's the master account that pay charges for all the member accounts. So that's why the first one is wrong. And this is the reason why the others are wrong. This one is incorrect because these two can't be consolidated together. So payment of both AWS account and Amazon Internet Service account is, you don't consolidate that. Allows one member account to pay the charges of all master accounts. It should be the other way around. The master account pays charges for all member accounts. So this has been flipped. It should not be the member account paying for master accounts. It should be a master account paying for member accounts. Consolidate that is incorrect because this feature is offered at no additional cost. Consolidate all the bills on multiple AWS accounts for only $1 every month. Okay. It's offered for free. So you don't, no fees is charged for doing the consolidation. Yeah. Okay, I hope everyone gets that. I just want to emphasize and make sure you know what AWS organizations is. The key thing is understand consolidated billing or all features. There's an option to create with all features. And then know that you use SCPs, service control policies. It's a security mechanisms used in AWS organizations. And then know that an improvement of AWS organizations comes with AWS Control Tower, which is also in creating managing multiple accounts using AWS best practices. It's been created for that. It came after AWS organizations. So just try to always think about when you see a service, you try to think about the key things about it, and if there's an improvement service or something that came after that. It's also good to know. It helps, I think it helps arrange the material in your mind. Okay, so yeah, those are the tips I can have. The next question then is for you, Kinyoi. Which of the following is an advantage of using managed services like RDS, Elastic Cache, and Cloud Search in AWS? Automatically scales the capacity without any customer intervention, frees up the customer from the task of choosing and optimizing the underlying instance type and size of the service, simplifies all of your OS patching and backup activities to help keep your resources current and secure, better performance than customer managed services such as EC2 instances. So, advantage of using managed services. That's the key thing. Okay. Okay, I see you have B. I see there's a C.
B.
Okay, I see another B. I hear another B. So I'm going to take majority. managed services like RDS. Okay, let's see. There's something not right. It's C. The key point here is frees up the customer from the task of choosing and optimizing the underlying instance type. With RDS, you always have to choose the type of instance you want. So that's what made me already feel like this had an issue, because you don't, with managed services, especially with RDS, you still always have to decide which instance type you want. But simplifies all of your OS patching and backup activities. But when you have an instance type, you don't bother about managing it, right? So all your OS patching and backup activities to help you keep your resources current. RDS, you have backups that are done automatically, and you just need to pick your window when that's happening. I think that's done. I can't remember again, but yeah. So C is the correct answer. This is incorrect because customers still choose and optimize the underlying instance, just what I was mentioning, being used for RDS, Elasticsearch, and Cloud Search. So this is not true. Automatically scales the capacity without any custom intervention is also incorrect because you're still responsible to scale your managed service by optimizing that, right? Because you are choosing the instance type, you still have to be the one responsible for deciding. Better performance is incorrect because this is not always the case for managed services. In fact, it's possible that customer managed services can outperform the AWS managed services based upon the class, type of size of EC2 instance being used. So it was just tricking the mind. Okay. I think it's Kinela answered last. So the next question is from Guada. A company is currently using an on-demand EC2 instance for their application, which they plan to migrate to a reserved EC2 instance to save on cost. Right. Which of the following is the most cost-effective option if the application being hosted will be used for more than 3 years? So you're looking most cost-effective if you will be using it for more than.
Or upfront standard reserve.
Okay, you said D, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I see that supported. So most cost-effective, hosted for more than 3 years. So standard reserve pricing for 3-year term. Okay. Okay, that's correct. The key thing is you should always remember all upfront, partial upfront, and no upfront. And the one that gives the most cost-effective is all upfront. And then when you choose also the longer term, because this will be used for more than 3 years, so it's okay to choose a 3-year period. And yeah, that's why this one is not correct, because it's all upfront. Anyway, this talking convertible and 1-year term. If it was all upfront standard reserve with 1-year term, it was not the correct, because the longer the term, the cheaper it is. You know? So it's good to know what these different types are. I think I've shared information about that some time ago, but let me just repeat this if someone needs to look at it. All right. Let's move to the next question, which is for Leslie. Which of the following Amazon EC2 instance purchasing options can help you address compliance requirements and reduce costs by allowing you to use your existing server-bound software licenses? So you want to address compliance requirements and reduce costs by allowing you to use existing server-bound software licenses. So which Amazon instance purchasing option will you pick?
Reserved instances.
Okay. I see T, B, and D. So now that's the question. I see, okay, I see two Ds at least. So the question is address compliance requirements that will reduce costs by allowing you to use existing server-bound licenses. Let's check. So what is another word for use your existing server-bound software licenses? Or what phrase do you always get when you are using dedicated hosts? I'm trying to.
Bring your own license.
Right, that's correct. So bring your own license, BYOL. So yeah, and you, so when you have existing software licensing and you are going to AWS and you want to maintain them, the only option you can use is dedicated host, and it can also be for compliance requirements. So the key thing is, so dedicated host help you address that. So that's what dedicated host will do. So dedicated hosts allow you to use your existing per socket, per core, or per VM software licensing, including Microsoft and all of that. So you always see it referred to as bring your own license. Let me just copy this. Important to take time and make sure you capture the difference between dedicated, what dedicated hosts are used for. Once you remember it, you always remember. It's one of the greatest things. So there's a difference here between dedicated instance and dedicated host. I don't know. Let me just share this image. Please just read everything that's there as well as the difference between dedicated, what's dedicated instance and dedicated host. Yeah. So the others won't go. The reserve instance is what we it doesn't have that possibility to bring your own license, just like on demand. Dedicated instance doesn't allow control and visibility as with dedicated host. So it's learning about those key, the instances and their differences. So next question is for you, Kinyoy. Which of the following allows you to categorize and track your AWS cost on a detailed level?
Cost allocation tax.
Okay. So allows you to categorize and track your AWS costs on a detailed level. Okay, see that's supported. All right, so that's A. So you always put tax on your resources so that you can know, for example, you can have an EC2 instance, you can put a tag on it and say maybe this is for the development phase. And then you have another EC2, you can put a tag on it, which maybe is for the production. It's running on production. You have another EC2 instance, so all your services you put tag on it so that when you have the bill, you can then select services that maybe are using the tag for development or using the tag for production, and you'll be able to know exactly what the cost is at the detail level. The other ones, we've talked about them quite often. You can read this afterwards. No, share the PDF. I hope we finish. We have question 51. That's one. Which a company is planning to launch a new system in AWS, but they do not have an employee who has AWS related expertise. Which of the following AWS channels can instead help the company design, architect, build, migrate, and manage their workloads and applications on AWS? The key point is an AWS channel that helps a company design, architect, build, and migrate and manage their workloads.
Try it.
Can you say A? What about the others? Okay. I see two people say D. So let's go for majority. And it's correct. So I know this is the only key thing I can say is once you see technology partner, think of software. Then the other one, which is design, architect, build, migrate, will always be network consulting. So you always have two partners. You have the consulting partner, you have the technology partner, and the technology partners provide software solutions, right? The technology partners, the way I also remember it is just recognizing that once I see technology partners, it has to deal with software. So technology partners provide software solutions that are either hosted on or integrated with AWS platform. They include independent software vendors and all of that. But consulting partners is when you are then thinking of architecting your solution, which could be um, design, architect, and migrate or build new applications on AWS. So when you think of consulting partner, think of architecting, designing, and migrating. Once you see software partners, you should think of, once you see technology partners, you should think of software solutions. Consulting partner is building new applications in AWS, but mostly with designing. So that's one way to distinguish between the two. We know what technical account management is an AWS marketplace. Any question here or worry? Okay, let's move. I think this question is for you, Leslie. Which statement below is correct regarding the components of the AWS global infrastructure? So we're looking for a statement that is correct regarding the components of the AWS global infrastructure.
B. An
Okay,
AWS region contains multiple availabilities.
okay. I see that's supported. Making you so 3 people for B. So let's see if that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, the other ones are wrong. Availability zone contains regions. That's opposite. Availability zone contains edge locations. What are edge locations? Which service uses edge locations?
CloudFront.
Yes, CloudFront uses edge locations. It's a caching for caching mechanisms. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is for Kinyui. Which of the following characteristics correctly describe the Amazon Simple Storage Service? Select 2. Which characteristics correctly describes the Amazon Simple Storage? Select 2.
It's a storage service with virtually unlimited space, and a highly durable object storage infrastructure, D.
Okay. Those are the two. A different view of support. Am I seeing any? Okay, A and D. That's supported. Okay, let's see. So it's A and D. So this should be in the storage notes. What is simple storage? The module on storage. Yeah. So storage service with virtually unlimited space, highly durable object storage infrastructure. Okay. Next question is for Adam. Which of the following are true regarding Amazon Relational Database Service? Select two. True regarding Amazon Relational Database Service.
Like G and E. Sure.
I see. Remember, is true regarding Amazon Relational Database Service. I see C being mentioned. This is a fully managed non-relational database. Yeah, I know, right? It's tricking your mind, I know. So that's why it's good to always look at the question again. True regarding Amazon Relational Database Service. So let's check and see. So it's the last two. What's happening? Yeah. So it makes it easy to set up, operate, and scale a relational database. Simplifies the management of time-consuming database administration tasks. So when you are using a relational database, that's what the advantages you get. It will not automatically scale up a relational database instance size. That doesn't happen. You have to manually do it. It doesn't provide this. This is provided by by S3. Okay. So I would recommend that if you are wondering about the advantages of Amazon Relational Database, just look at we have that on the database model. I encourage you to look at that. Okay, so the next question is for Leslie. Which of the following are things that Amazon CloudWatch logs can accomplish? Select two. Things that Amazon CloudWatch can accomplish.
Okay. B and B and D.
Okay. B and G, C. Okay. Any thoughts or view? A and B, I see. It was Amazon CloudWatch. Okay, I don't see anyone breaking. I'll just pick all the three. Please just keep yours and see what's the correct one. So it's A and B, right? So create alarms that automatically stop, terminate, reboot, or recover your EC2 instance is not something that Amazon CloudWatch logs can do. But it can adjust the retention policy for each log group. It can monitor applications log from Amazon EC2 instance. So I don't think this service has the following features, right? So I think that's what I will share. The features are monitor logs from Amazon EC2 instance, monitor AWS CloudTrail logged events, log retention, archive log data, log raw 53 DNS queries. So these are the kind of features that CloudWatch can do. I'll try to put that on chat. So let me put this on chat, yeah. Especially the key thing is to remember those features. So in case someone needs the notes, it's important. All right, that was answered. So the next question is for you, Kinya. Kinya, it is for you. Which of the following can a developer use to interact with your AWS services? Select two.
AWS command line interface and AWS SDKs.
Okay. Any support or doubt?
Support.
Mhm. Good. So that's what we were just talking about. You are looking for a way to interact with AWS services. There are just three ways. And two of them are mentioned here. Beloved, I'll put you on mute because there's noise coming from your end. Just if you have a question, you can unmute later, yeah? Okay, so the CLI and SDK. And yeah, I was talking about AWS. I was demonstrating that last time, how to set up your keys. Okay, the next question is for Adam. There's a requirement to launch a new database in AWS where the customer assumes the responsibility and management of the guest operating system, including updates and security patches. Which service will the customer use? The key thing is customer will assume the responsibility and management of guest operating system, including updates and security patches. Which service do you use if you want to do that?
Try C.
Yeah, try and see. Okay. Can you support it? I don't see any other view. So you see, just remember that once you see guest operating system and you have to be managing and doing it, it will always be EC2. right? Once you are the one responsible, once you see that, because the EC2 instance is the only one that you manage guest operating system. Once you go to DynamoDB, that is managed by, it's a managed service. You don't have to bother about operating system. And this one also is a managed service. Aurora, same as DocumentDB. All of those are managed services. But when you are looking for, if you want to be managing the guest operating system, doing the patching and security updates, you can only use EC2. Okay. Aurora is fully managed. DocumentDB is fully managed. DynamoDB is also fully managed database. So fully managed means you don't have to bother about the guest operating system, doing the security, patching, and all those things. So these are fully managed database, fully managed databases. Any question? Okay. So just make sure you get the difference between that. All right. Next question is for you, Leslie. Which of the following is a key use case of AWS Control Tower? A fast monitoring engine used to dictate if any of your AWS accounts deviate from the AWS best practices. An easy way to establish a landing zone that implements an AWS well-architected multi-account environment and apply the AWS best practices. A centralized login service for all types of log files. A way for customers to send instructions to an AWS account on how to deploy popular technologies such as WordPress. So a key use case of AWS Control Tower. You say B. Okay, I see that's supported. That's supported as well. Yeah. So Control Tower is for customers who want to create or manage their multi-account AWS environment with best practices, right? And it offers, and remember, it's following best practices. So I just put that on chat. We were talking about it not long ago as well, but yeah, that's what it is. I know it's already 8 minutes past 7, but our target is, let's finish. We have 7 more questions left. Let's finish this so that I can share the PDF file for review. Yeah. So this is for you, Kinyoi. Which of the following provides you the most granular data about your AWS cost and usage, and also load the information into Amazon, Athena, Redshift, QuickSight, or a tool of your choice?
The AWS cost and usage reports.
Okay. Any different view or support?
Support.
Okay, that's fine. Let's check and see. Yes, that's correct. It's one of the characteristics of cost and usage reports, right? It gives the possibility to load your information to Athena. It gives you granular data about cost and usage, but also you can load that data to Athena, Redshift, and QuickSight, or a tool of your choice. Yeah, we did that on the billing and pricing model also. The next question is for you, Adam. A company is designing a new cloud architecture for its mission-critical application in AWS, which must be highly available. Which of the following is the recommended pattern to meet this requirement? So you are designing a new cloud architecture for your mission-critical application in AWS, and it has to be highly available. So what is the recommended pattern to meet this requirement?
D, use multiple availability zones to ensure that the application can handle the failure of a single company.
Okay. I see D supported. So the first one is deploy. Everyone supports that. Deploy on an Amazon EC2 spot fleet with diversified allocation strategy. Make sure that each component of the application has high bandwidth and low latency. Adopt a monolithic application architecture on that. So yeah, so everyone says T. So the others are not definitely not correct. Okay, let's move on. This for you, Leslie. A company is in the process of choosing the most suitable AWS region to migrate its applications. Which of the following factors should they consider? So a company is trying to choose a suitable region to migrate its applications. So what should you consider when you are doing that, when you are looking for an AWS region? Support country-specific data sovereignty compliance requirements, potential volume discounts for the specific region, availability zone security, proximity to your end users for on-site visits to your on-premises data center, or enhance customer experiences by reducing latency to users. So what should you consider?
I think C and B.
B and C. Okay. I see an A and an E. So what about the others? You're in the process of choosing, so that's the key thing. So A and E, B and C. No one to break this difference reviews. Well, I
We
don't
have
break.
two A and E's.
Ah, there are two. Okay, yeah. Okay, now I see two. Now that's easy. All right, that's correct. I think I did not see rather early on. So it's A and E. Thank you. So when you are choosing a region, you always think about country-specific data sovereignty compliance requirements, because the data compliance requirements in America may be different from Europe. So that's, if you are picking a region, you have to think about that. Or even in Europe, each country has their different compliance requirements. So depending on what you want to do, you have to ensure if that works. And then you always pick a region that is closer to your users so that you should have latency, this thing. Volume discounts, availability zone security, those are things that are not considered when looking for picking a region. Yeah. So those are the two options that we have, A and E. Okay, so let's leave this open. 3 more questions. If anyone sees the answer, let me know. In AWS Trusted Advisor, which of the following options are included among the 5 categories being considered to analyze your AWS environment and provide the best practice recommendations? Select 2. So which are the following options among the 5 categories? So when you're working with Trusted Advisor, what are those 5 categories that are always mentioned? Anyone can go for this. Select 2.
Performance, fault tolerance.
Performance and supported.
Performance, fault tolerance. Yeah. What are the other ones? There are 5 of them.
Service limits, cost optimization.
Service limit, cost optimization. So we have 4, correct?
Security.
Security, that's correct. So I have performance, fault tolerance, security, service limits, and cost optimization. So that's trusted advisor. Okay, let's check and see. Yeah, so these are the things you should always remember. If you can have this diagram in mind, it will help you. It has the definition of trusted advisor. It is a service that scans your AWS infrastructure and compares it with AWS best practices in 5 categories, and then gives recommended actions. And that will be cost optimization, performance, security, fault tolerance, and service limits. And once that happens, it will give you recommendations and actions you can take to make your infrastructure better. I shared this diagram. I'll share it again for those who have not. I really emphasize that take time and make sure you can define trusted advice so you can know these different categories, and then as well as explain what do you really mean when you say cost optimization, when you say security, you know, it's explained under here again. So I will double send that. I've shared that a couple of times, but it's just for emphasis. At least Telegram is free, right? So we're not paying if we post there a lot of times. Right, next one is, which of the following is the most cost-effective AWS support plan to use if you need access to AWS support API for programmatic case management? Everyone should shout the answer.
Business.
Okay, I hear business.
Business.
Yes.
Okay, I hear business. So remember, most cost-effective AWS support plan if you need access to AWS support program listing. Right, so it's business because this is what we have, API support plan. So business is the cheapest. Enterprise on RAM, enterprise, those ones are already expensive. Developer doesn't have. Make sure that you can sing this diagram without getting it wrong. Okay, users from different parts of the globe are complaining about the slow performance of the newly launched photo sharing website in loading their high resolution images. Which combination of AWS services should you use to save the files with the lowest possible latency? Select 2. Right, this is the first question that tries to test you to match architecture to build an architecture. So you have users from different parts of the globe. The key first thing is they're complaining slow performance of newly launched photo sharing website. And what you need to do is, which service can you use to save the files with lowest possible latency? So what can you use to save these files, and what will also help to bring lowest possible latency? Anyone can go for it.
CloudFront and Amazon Elastic File System.
Okay. Any different view? Remember that you have photos, right? When you have photos and you want to save them, what best can you use? Okay, I don't see anyone saying anything. But let me give a tip. What kind of data are photos?
Objects, so we'll go for S3.
Right. Yeah. So no reason to use Elastic File. Photos are objects and they are static, right? Once you have a picture, you always have it. So it's Amazon S3 and then CloudFront, because static data. Elastic File System is when you are having EC2 instances and you need them to access a common shared environment, shared storage. Okay, the last question. Which type of elastic load balancer supports path-based routing, host-based routing, and bidirectional communication channels using WebSockets? Now, just asking your knowledge on networking. But for-
Application.
Application load balancer.
okay. 2 people say that. So let's check and see. Correct. So each time you see, most people always struggle with this at times. I noticed in the past, they always start to think it's network load balancing because they see path-based. But the easy way is once you see path-based routing or host-based routing, it's application load balancer. And actually this comes if you are configuring it. So if you were in a situation where you learn to configure the different load balancers, you always notice that it is only the application load balancer that will have something like this. You will have a host and path base, so you can choose one of those. Yeah, so it's good 2 of you can remember that. So that was the last question. Let me get this some. I always want to do this immediately because if I don't, once I lose the page, it means that we'll do it. But I already say that most, for those of you answering, I'm trying. As I said, if you can review all the section base very well, which we already covered, you realize that these 65 questions that we're doing, most of them will be revolving around that. So if you are still having, if anyone is still having problem or struggling, just go to the PDFs for the section base, look at the recordings we had, try to understand that. Or when I share this PDF, make sure that for every question that you have difficulty, you take time to read why why the option you pick is wrong, and then go back also and read your material, because it's not just looking at the questions and answers. You can be fooled to thinking that you know them. Remember that in the exams you have, the questions will not be what you have here, but you may see some, but the questions will be they will also be much more different questions. But the key thing is if you can answer these ones and if you really understand them, not just knowing that, okay, you have seen this question and the answer was this, right? But knowing that actually this question, this is the correct answer for this and that reason. No matter how the questions are rephrased or how they are brought about, you will still be able to understand it. Because yeah. So that's my recommendation. Okay. So let me have this ready. And then I'll share the PDF file. Let me stop the recording.